Hello, everyone. I'm Moindog,
And I'm Karmika, and welcome to Command Comms.
a podcast where we talk about everything and anything related to tactical shooters.
All right, everyone, welcome back to episode 11 of Command Comms. Today, we got something a little bit different planned. I think instead of focusing on the hardcore tactical shooter genre, just because it is, a little quiet right now, a little bit slow, just because of the new year, everyone went on break, a lot of dev studios are on pause. Nothing, I think, new has kicked around over the last couple of weeks here. We're going to be talking about content creation this week. Basically, how Moy and I got started making the content that we've been making. What we like about it and the challenges, any tips or advice we can give you guys who are starting out. And because I think this is a question that I get asked a lot that's not really,
Yep.
pertaining to the kind of content that we make or like the specific game that we play, but just generally, I get so many comments and messages like, Karma, you've inspired me to start a channel. How do I? What were some tips? What can you teach me? So Moy, like kicking us right off, where did you start in content creation?
Where? Oh man. Where did I start in content creation? So I initially started streaming on Twitch, uh, all 2018. I started doing Battlefield, Battlefield One. I've been playing Battlefield forever. So started doing Battlefield, and I kind of just I had no webcam. I didn't really know what I was doing, although I wanted to stream of some sort. I kind of I watched Twitch back in like 2012, so almost 10 years ago, and I really liked streaming aspect of things, and I just pressed live. And I think I had like a 30-minute Battlefield One non-webcam, just some type of stream, and I kind of liked it. I don't think I had really anybody watch, but it was kind of fun. No webcam, so I just kind of had to talk through what I was doing and try to make it as entertaining. Since I thought I was a good shot, thought I was good at the game, I thought I had some good opinions on how to play and all stuff like that. And it eventually just kind of kept growing and growing until eventually I actually had somebody um, get me into squad from a viewer, a Battlefield viewer, saying I would really like this, and then it's crazy how like if you just treat it as like a hobby and it's something that you're kind of passionate in doing, you kind of like other people see that you like what you're doing. Like you're not you're not pressing live because you want to have a million followers. You're
Hmm.
pressing live because you want to do what you're doing right now, which is entertainment, trying to create something cool, trying to hang out with cool people. And that's like the first couple weeks I started, whether I had zero people watching or, I think a big number at that time was like nine. If I got to nine, it's still huge, but it was fun pressing the live button, and that kind of got me addicted, I guess you could say.
So diving a little bit more in specifically, like talking about the game. So Battlefield One, like what actually got you to stream it though? Was it like you saw someone streaming and you're like, hey, that looks kind of fun, or maybe you had like the equipment already lying around and you're like, I'll give it a
Yeah.
spin. Was it initially just like a hobby, or did you go in thinking it was going to be something more professional? Like where as far as the actual act of streaming, like where did that idea come from? Just watching people?
Yeah. Yeah, just pretty much watching people. Like I said, I've watched people do it, but it's like I don't know. I would usually watch streams that I had no business playing those games. Like if I played Battlefield, I would actually very rarely play or
Hmm.
watch Battlefield streams. I would watch like competitive StarCraft tournaments, or some uh, a couple years ago. The battle royales were big, so like H1Z1 as well, and so some stuff like that, stuff that like maybe I don't have the time to do. I would watch that, and I saw how people liked to you had the entertainers, you had people like a Shroud who's just an aimbot. There's a variety of entertainment to be found, and so I kind of just did it as I would rather, if I'm going to play video games, I think I'm entertaining. How about we make this into kind of a hobby? But from the get go, I was pretty I think one of the biggest things, no matter what game you're playing, like I was good at Battlefield. I love Battlefield. Um, but although it was a hobby, and I wasn't necessarily doing this to get notoriety or to get followers or whatever. treated it like a scheduled event. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you every week hang out with your buddies and play D&D, you want to have like your same time, right? If you
Right.
want to hang out, it needs to be the same time each time with the same people. So whenever I streamed, even if I did it a couple days a week or maybe just on the weekend, same time, same ending time, just so we can get consistency. So still a
So a
hobby,
very
but
structured
yeah.
approach though. Like not like, hey,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
gonna throw on the stream because I know some people who start off streaming, it's very much like, okay, I got some free time here. This I'm playing a game I like to play that. It's really much. It's very much so just like I'm just hitting the live button and I'm just gonna do whatever. It sounds like you had a
Yeah.
much more structured approach to hitting it.
Yeah, I think especially I know we'll go into YouTube in a sec because that's definitely where your your ballpark there. But I think even with like YouTube, um, if you go in with a structure, even if it's just if you just press live and you go in, you stream for like 30 minutes, and the next day you do it at a different time and you stream for 2 hours, and then 3 days later you stream for an hour and a half. I mean, people don't know when to show up, what's going on,
Hmm.
that type of stuff. So it's kind of like, I think for all this stuff, even if it's just a fun thing, just make it the fun thing at the same time. And so I think that's where I started getting a good rhythm where I actually like if I was maybe sick or I was working or I had something to do, it felt weird not streaming like at my time. Even when it was just a fun hobby thing.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of highlighting the two different mindsets that I think a lot of like newer streamers or like people who just get started have. Like you have the kind of people who are like a little bit more structured and organized who, are putting in a little more effort into their streams. And then you have literally like the most basic low effort content, which is like I'm just hitting the button, I'm playing whatever, we play it however long, we're playing whatever game.
Yeah.
And so I know that there are people who have been successful at both.
Yeah.
It comes down to personalities, but like I would say in this day and age, especially like just a little bit of advice for like newer people who are listening and like trying to get started. Like I think in the absolute enormous sea of newer content creators and streamers and everyone just making all this stuff coming out, it really does show when you put in just the tiniest bit of effort to just set a schedule, maybe get some graphics done, and be a
Yeah.
little professional. Unless you're totally just completely fine with it being a hobby thing and just messing around and having a couple viewers.
And there's
And
nothing wrong with that, right?
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that at all. And some people, like I said before, have even grown like that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter so long as you are comfortable with the kind of content you're creating and like how you're doing that. But I definitely think that if you're trying to go, pretty hard into it and you want to get a following and you definitely want to start doing this more and more and more, I think that, the route that you went, more of like having something structured of like a schedule and then making sure that you have a game plan to some
Mhm.
extent. It doesn't even need to be something crazy. It could just be like, I'm streaming every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10. That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Exactly.
Uh,
Easy.
yeah, and that's like I think a good place to get started, and then you'll learn stuff along the way. Like I'm sure you can also relate to this, where like a lot of what we do is learned as we do it. There's no class, there's no school. There's some YouTube stuff that's out there nowadays,
Yeah.
but yeah, like starting a couple years, like that, the amount of information that's out there now is incredible. But like nowadays, um, it's just so competitive.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's something that you really have to get in because you want to do it and just have fun with it. And I think if you definitely can tell whether it's on a YouTube video, or Twitch stream or whatever stream, a YouTube stream as well. If someone's doing it like right from the get go, and you got a lot of, I guess try hard is kind of it, but it's almost like, I mean, the expectations are so high. I've seen people just like dump a whole bunch of money into equipment right
Hmm.
from the get go, and they're like, "All right, I got this awesome camera. I have two computers. I just set up this whole background. So where's my followers? That kind of stuff." And it's kind of, I mean, I I don't know about you. I literally I had actually from donations I got a webcam, and it made it like kind of a fun thing for the community to eventually, if we hit a certain goal, then hey, you get to see my face type of thing.
Nice.
But it was like a nice little build up and stuff. So, wait, oh, speaking of, yeah, people didn't even know what you look like for ages, right? I mean, that's like
Yes and
that's
no. I mean, I've never like hidden my face. It's more just like I prefer my content without it.
yeah,
But
yeah,
like I've shown my face like in a couple videos, like we did personal updates and stuff like that. So it
yeah.
was never like I never like hid it. It was just a choice
Just
to not show
not part
it.
of what you
Yeah,
do.
it wasn't like it wasn't like in there all the time. Like Instagram, that's all like it's all public. Like people know what I look like. It's just it's not in my content all the time. So like
Yeah.
that's a newer thing for sure. And I think that was what was the decision to start it? I think Tarkov. I think Tarkov was
To
the reason.
add the face cam.
Yeah, just because like squad is like very immersive. I don't know if like a face
Okay.
cam. I mean that goes down to like knowing your game, right? And the content kind of. You've done a good
Yeah.
job of like building your because your kind of niche, if I had to describe your kind of content, is like the relatable squad leader and just having fun and goofing off and also playing the game very well. Whereas like my kind of content has usually traditionally we're kind of like moving from that now, or I'm trying to
Mhm.
pivot from that now, is generally more cinematic, just like a lot
Yeah.
of movie-esque stuff or like very immersive stuff and trying to get people into it. And so like having all the alerts and the all that stuff up there and then the face cam, like it didn't mesh well. But as I've started to push like more recently now into streaming, and then Tarkov especially,
Yeah.
where it's like I'm gonna get some pretty boring dead times. There's some really good moments that you can really utilize a webcam. So that's another thing, right? Like learning on the go
Yeah.
that we both learn is like how you can make your content unique and how you can use what you have available to improve your content, right? Maybe you don't need a webcam, maybe you do need a webcam, but there's always something that you can do as a creator to kind of create that hook or create that kind of attraction that brings in new
Yeah.
viewers. And you just got to find your niche. It's so important because if you try to jump into anything like mainstream, even if you jump into something as popular as like WoW or League, like these games are so big that yes, there's a huge
Yeah.
audience, but there's so much more competition, and there's even more of a cry or a need for
Yeah.
content creators to like find their slot within that game because it's just there's so many people doing this now. It's so easy to do.
Yeah, it's something it's actually it's interesting that you say that because if you want to grow as a well, I do think like YouTube and Twitch are pretty different, but they need one another, you know?
Hmm.
Like as a Twitch, it's funny, like I considered myself a streamer and then I started a YouTube channel and people are now calling me like the YouTuber. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess I'm whatever. But it was like a weird like almost like an identity crisis. Like, what? No, I'm not a YouTuber. I'm like a streamer. But it's like,
Hmm.
no, you just make content. Like it doesn't really matter. But
Yeah, it's just
it's
different mediums, but yeah, I mean,
exactly.
you're a content creator. That's I think, like I never really understood. Like I don't know, do they call them Twitchers? You don't
No,
call it a
it's just
Twitcher. It's
a
it's just
streamer.
a
Yeah, it's
streamer.
a streamer.
Yeah, streamer, content creator. Yeah, I mean, I think that's like the easiest way to describe what we do. Because
Yeah,
like then people go off and everyone's like most recently I think in the last like 2 3 years is everyone's been diversifying into Instagram, into TikTok, into Twitter, and all
yeah,
this stuff, and everyone's branching out to where their personality reaches beyond just the one platform. And that is something else I will say is also a tip is
yeah.
like try to be active on a lot of social media platforms. Like I am terrible at this. I don't know if you're good at that, but like I can't
I've
juggle my
tried. I don't
Twitter,
know.
my it's just so much work. And I actually understand now why companies hire like social media managers. It's just like so
Yeah,
much to keep track of and all the trends and the hashtags and all the features and the
yeah,
functions and it's a lot. It's really a lot. And so going back to your point of like you have to enjoy it and you can't be like looking at like oh I'm gonna be famous or whatever is like what we do takes a lot of time and you need to
yeah.
enjoy
Oh
every
yeah,
second of it or you'll just drown because it's so much work for such little gain in the beginning. And unless you hit like a gold mine, you're really just grinding for a long time, and then you'll hit spikes, but a lot of it's just putting in the hours.
yeah. And I think that's it. It's weird because it's very rewarding, but then you have it's like people still see it as like, I mean, you're what? You're Karma, you just made a video? What are you doing? You're just playing video games. You just cut up a video. Are you working there? It's like, yeah, that's actually like a lot. Like I was talking to My parents are super supportive. So before I say this, I don't want to say they're not being supportive or anything
Hmm.
like that. They've been like my one of my longest time even followers on the Twitch channel. My parents are always in super supportive. That's also something else. Like if you guys are starting to stream, get your friends, family in there. Like nobody's gonna watch a zero like a goose egg because you got it. You're at the bottom of the category. Get random people. Like if your friends and family won't watch your Twitch stream, no offense, like
Yeah.
who's gonna scroll all the way down to page 12 and find your Twitch stream?
Yeah.
But nobody. Anyway, I was talking and I was my dad was asking a question about these guides, and it's like, is there a way to make this like a guide video? Like if I do like a 20-minute guide video, he's like, okay, you just like I don't know, just knock it out or whatever. It's just a video, but I mean, these are essentially you got to record footage, write a script, you got to spend a lot of time editing. You make graphics, you make sure the sound's good. I mean, you're editing. It could be a multiple day process for just one of these steps, depending on what you're doing, and all of that to a video that can either do really well or all of a sudden you're like, dude, I have no idea why this is like my worst performing video, and I don't understand. And then you have sometimes where you cut a video and it maybe spent 20 minutes of your time because you just put an in cut, a beginning cut, and threw it up there, and then it just takes off. It's like you gotta appreciate all of that and know that sometimes doing all the like the hard work and stuff is going to really pay off. Sometimes it's not, but like whether the video does great or not great, I still like really enjoy the process, and I just enjoy people like coming in on the comments or in the live streams, uh, you know, talking about it. So it's definitely not I think as easy as people think.
Yeah, it's when people talk about like, oh, it's not even a real job, it's so easy, right? So like my general response is like to that is like, well, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? And the thing is like, technically, it is easy. Like mechanically, it is easy to
Yeah.
record and to edit. Like you don't need to know anything fancy. You see some big YouTubers out there, they
Yep.
just use jump cuts. They don't have anything fancy. Some streamers don't even have webcams. They just play the game. But the hard part about content creation is finding is like we said before, is finding that unique stuff, is those ideas, that content, and finding out how to, it doesn't need to be flashy and expensive and have all these cuts and all these edits. And sometimes that is the niche, right? You see these meme reels or these like highly over edited montages or
Yep.
funny moments videos, and that is the niche. That is like the style of video it is. But then you can have like my original videos were almost like there was no cuts at all. It was very simplistic, but I played the game in a certain way, and I knew how to get into certain gunfights, or I knew how to capture certain areas, or it's just the thinking behind it is the hardest part of how do I make this entertaining. That's the hardest part, because yeah, anyone can go out and play a video game and record it and then upload it. It's how do you make that content, whether I mean it can be the technical hardware
Mhm.
or software that you use, or the edits that you make, or the webcam or the microphone that you use, or the music that you have triggered going on in the background. But it could be something that doesn't cost anything, like maybe the jokes that you have, the personality that you are, the kind of content that you're making. Maybe there's nothing else
Yeah.
out there like that. Like that is where the hard work is, and it's hard to conceptualize until you do it, because all viewers mostly see is someone out there who's just
Mhm.
playing a game. That's all they see. That they don't see like, oh, how did this person get to this point, right? And usually it's a long journey, right? I've been doing this for maybe 4-ish years now, and I'm just now, we're at a point where I feel where I'm somewhat established, where I've gotten my personality or my channel to a place where it's more or less solidified in the niche. But I can
Mhm.
remember almost for the past like 3-ish years coming up to this point, it's like constantly like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? And only now, like recently, I've been like, okay, I feel comfortable calling myself like a full-time content creator, because before it's like
Yeah.
it's shaky, that whole ride up. It's very there's very little job security in what we do, right? There's somewhat your game could just die, you no more updates or whatever, and then
Updates? What do you mean? The game will always be updated, right?
yeah, or people just stop watching that kind of game, or maybe there's so many hundreds of different reasons, adpocalypse, whatever it is, that your whole livelihood or your whole like channel just like for whatever reason can no longer make money. And I think that's one of the most scary things, that when you get into this, you have to be cognizant of, and you have to be aware of that risk, that when you jump into this, it could all go away in a very short time. So my question here to you, Moy, is, I think there's a little bit of an age difference between us, right? I'm a youngin, right? Like I just
A youngin.
well, because I started in college, right? I didn't really have too many responsibilities, right? I could fuck up my life pretty substantially, and like I didn't have many responsibilities.
How old are you
and
right now? How old are you right
I'm
now?
25 now. I'm 25 now.
Oh, it's just 5 years. I'm 30. What do you think?
I
I'm
know,
what,
but I think
40?
I think still no. I still think it's important because you're at a very different stage in life, right? Because
Sure, yeah, no,
you're
true,
more
true, true.
less stable, right? So my question to you here is like, how did you reconcile that? How did you break that down in your head as far as jumping into something as volatile, or as I guess, high and low as streaming?
Yeah. It's kind of weird because I'd been doing my own consulting type thing. So I was self-employed for a while, and would constantly travel to client locations, do a bunch of work, be gone for a lot of time, live pretty much in hotels, and then come back. And so when I started getting traction of this hobby, I mean, we were just talking about putting in the work. I would wake up at like 5 a.m., go do my workout, whatever, be at the clients by 6 a.m., have a full day in either manufacturing or processing, whatever the client was doing. And then I would get back at probably 6 p.m., get some food, and then 7 p.m. to midnight, I would stream on the road in a hotel. And so, like, when that starts, like, you actually have your community and people there and stuff like that, it starts to feel a little real, even if it's just like 15 people. It feels good.
Hmm.
And when you start getting people who are supportive in more ways than just watching, and I wouldn't, once again, when I say that, I don't mean that that's not incredibly valuable. Whether people subscribe or donate or whatever, just the fact that someone spends time in your channel is incredible. Like,
Hmm.
people can do literally anything else with their time other than watch you. So that is incredibly, incredibly valuable. So I'd never make people feel bad or anything if they come in and say, I'm sure you get it on your streams too. It's like, hey, I can't do anything other than click like the subscribe button on
Hmm.
YouTube or thumbs up, but hey, great content. And that's just amazing. So when you start getting that type of momentum, and then some people who, do come in and help support the channel, and you start to see like, hey, I can maybe start dialing back a little bit of my own self-employed work because I'm like in control of it, but not do too much because I have a family. That's It was like this weird balance where I had a daughter. Um, it was like 5 months before I got partnered on Twitch, so I still had to do that grind, but then be a dad and a husband and still work basically like two jobs. And so it's like taking the leap was like super. I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm crazy for doing it. Maybe I don't know. We'll find out. But it felt right at the time, and so far, it still felt right. Um, but I don't know. Like, you need to. It needs to be more than just like a blip, right?
Hmm.
Like, you can't just have a good month. You can't just have a
Yeah.
good video. You can't just have a good day.
See, yeah,
That was the biggest thing.
that really, like, that's very inspiring, right? That you can have something, because you went from something stable, or like you went from a job
Yeah.
essentially into something that was blooming, that was very unstable, that didn't you don't really know, like in 2 years from now, I don't know what's going to happen to my channel, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like I don't get paid a salary, I don't have like a pension or anything like that. Like whatever happens is what happens. There's no
Yeah.
security for the next couple of years. So what the very different thing is between you and me is, like, I came from, like, I didn't have anything to lose, right? Whereas you had a solid line of work, right? And you had everything set. So that is like really, really, really impressive and inspiring, because I think anyone that jumps into content creation, whether it's full time or as a hobby, and they're looking to go into full time, there's some amount of I don't know if it's courage so much as I don't want to say
No. Yeah.
stupidity,
No.
but
It's crazy. No, it is
yeah,
actually
craziness,
crazy.
insanity. That you give up the standard, or the status quo of how normal people live their lives. Get a job, you work, you blah blah blah, you 9 to 5, you come home, and that's it. And then you jump onto something that you're passionate about, right? So I really respect people who are able to that because that's a very, very important part in a lot of people's times, where they look at, hey, this is what society or what I should be doing. This is what people are saying I should be doing, but this is what I want to do. And very few people, and my heart breaks for the people who don't make this jump, but very few people make that jump of like, I'm going to follow my passion. I'm going to at least try. Because I think a lot of people, and if you're listening to this, a lot of people are scared to make that jump and do what they love to do. Now,
Yeah.
I will say that a lot of people will fail when they do this. It's just how the numbers shake out, and it's just the luck of the draw. But I think you get a lot of peace of mind from just knowing that you tried. Like, for example, if my channel dies tomorrow, I can live happily knowing that I at least tried to do or accomplish the dream that I had. Whereas if I had completed college and moved on to my job and just continued like living life, I would always, every day for the rest of my life, look back and go, what if I did this? What if I did this? What if I did it? and I, like, if I didn't make that jump, and it was so hard, like I can really, really, really relate to everyone out there that's like really scared to make that jump, or their family is like pushing against it, or their significant other, or maybe like you're unsure of things. Like, I totally understand where you're at. It's scary. It's so scary making that decision to kind of go off the known trail and try to forge your own path, especially in something so new and so unique that like your parents don't really understand it. Because that's another question I'll ask you is like, in the beginning, right, was there a lot of pushback from your family or friends as far as like moving off and doing content creation? Because there was a lot of pushback on my end.
Yeah, well, hold on. We'll get to let's start if we're bringing age into it. Let's have the youngsters go first, okay?
Okay, sure.
So we've talked so you mentioned you were in college, you just kind of like I'm sure at some point you had a conversation with your parents and like, "Hey, surprise, I'm no longer in college and I'm making videos."
Yeah.
So like how did that go from I'm deciding to put random stuff on YouTube to, "Hey, this is actually working."
So gaming has always been like a huge part of my life. Like, it's always been a problem between me and my parents. Like, always, always, always. I played so much. I hated school. I didn't pay attention in class. Like, I just play games. I tried multiple times to play games professionally when I was like in my, I guess, like teens, I guess you would say. Like,
What games, by the way?
like Halo or Call of Duty or StarCraft 2 even, or even League of Legends. I try to play professionally for a little bit, but you always hit this wall that you can't really get there as a kid without your parents' help, right? Because it's like, whether it's the tournaments or the coaching or skipping class to do things, you can't do that without parental support. And your parents do have like your best interest in mind, right? They're trying to think like, I have this kid that's playing a whole bunch of video games. I want him to be fine in life. And in my experience, because I've never played video games, speaking from the parents' perspective, I'm not going to let him do this thing that I know nothing about and just sink his time into this, because God knows what's going to happen here. So there's a lot of pushback as a kid, I think, of like, you're playing too much, we're taking away the video games, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So fast forward out of high school and middle school to college, and I've kind of more or less conformed. I'm like, okay, I've kind of given up on the whole like gaming like for my job kind of thing in college, and I started to play more games, and I started to, not professionally, but for fun, entertainment. I started playing games and making content, and that I found I didn't really need parental support, because no one needed to take me to tournaments, or I didn't need like XYZ. Like, there's so many more barriers, I think, going pro than just becoming a content creator or an entertainer, because I was able to do that on my own. I was able to just make the videos, record and upload, and it started as something fun for me. And so when push came to shove, like fast forward a little bit more, and then like the channel is doing relatively well. I mean, this is kind of insane. I look back now and I only had like 3,000 subs. And I was like, I'm going to do this because I feel like there's something here. And looking back, like now that I have like 400 or whatever, how many subs, and like looking back at anyone that has 2,000 subs, going to their parents and going like, hey, I'm dropping out of college for my 2,000 subscriber YouTube channel. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But I knew that there was something here because I couldn't find anything else out there like that. The channel was growing at a steady pace. And I loved it. I truly did love it. And so when push came to shove, when I made that decision to drop out of college, there was a significant amount of pushback from the family. Some were supportive, some were not. Me being the oldest boy on my mom's side of the family, it's in Asian culture at least, it's very there's a lot of pressure. There's
Yeah.
also we're also spoiled a lot as the born boy, but there's a lot of pressure because I have a lot of cousins and everyone who are going to look up to me. I'm the oldest on that side. So everyone that comes in after me is gonna like I'm either gonna be like the failure of the family, or it's gonna be like, wow, look, Ryan's a businessman. He started his whole thing, and like I want to be like him. So it was there's a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure for sure. And until until I started making like a decent amount of money and being able to show my family like, hey, I can actually do this. This is sustainable. It's viable. There was a lot of awkward. It was just weird. It was like not necessarily like black sheep, but like borderline, but like kind of like it was. I've always been that person. I think on in my family. Like the one that's either rebelled or pushed back, like to get tattoos or get a motorcycle, do like crazy stuff. So I don't know. I've always been that person. I think. I think definitely 100% in college. Like at the end of high school, I'd conformed. I was like, okay, screw it. I'll go to college. I'll do whatever. Follow whatever they say. Do whatever they say, and whatever. And then halfway through college, when you get that independence and you're like used to living on your own and you have all these friends, I mean, a lot of crazy stuff gets done in college, period. Like, period. No
Yeah.
matter who you are, where you are, college is usually crazy in some way or another because you have your first breath of independence. And I think when I got that independence, it re-emboldened, it made me rethink my decision of like continuing down this path. And so that's there was pushback, but in like Asian families, as soon as you see that money, it's like everything's okay. So,
There you go.
yeah. So that's how that went for me.
That's interesting. Like it's so funny. I think like in addition to them coming around, I still think like I I don't know about you. I'm sure you still felt that way. Like even though they kind of felt like weird about it, you're just kind of like, hey, I know you feel weird about it. This is kind of weird. This whole situation's weird, but like I know I had this inner drive. I was like, I just want to try it. And
Hmm.
like I had a conversation with my wife when we're almost in the partner type phase and everything started getting successful ish. I mean, this is still like we're still on an upward trend. Anything can happen, right? But you have to have that conversation and just say, I got it. I got to go for it. You
Hmm.
know, I got to go for it. And if it works, fantastic. If it doesn't work, we move on to something else or back
Yeah.
to where we were. But I think once I know it seems like your parents were probably a little bit um, harder to convince on that end
Hmm.
right away. But I think as long as like we're not failing, like we're not like I'm still living in a house or apartment or whatever. Like
Hmm.
we're not like
Like
eating
financially
cardboard.
independent.
Yeah, you're still able to sustain yourself. That kind of stuff. That definitely helps. But that's just it's hilarious to hear because it's like everybody's. I don't know when a time is going to be where this is a natural thing. Because like if my daughter grows up and then 15 years from now she's like, hey, I want to be a streamer. I'm like, oh my god, that is a really stupid idea, but I'm going to support you. But it should be a hobby. It's like
Hmm.
this is like it's just because one person is successful at making a YouTube video or streaming. Like even to get to a point where you can say even like part-time there's a plenty of people even partners and I'm sure verified YouTube it's just a part-time gig like that even getting to like a part-time thing where even maybe just extra spending money is very not common, incredibly uncommon.
Hmm.
And it's when we were talking earlier about the type of resources, even for like myself starting a little bit later than you, I mean, I'm struggling to find resources and stuff. I'm sure you were just kind of tossing videos into the wind and seeing what happened.
Yeah, no, my earlier videos were very much like full rounds of squad, just fucking like
Just
straight up
uncut.
uncut, Like maybe I throw the intro in there and that's it. It was just like it was very rough. But like I mean that just goes to show like you don't need to have like crazy stuff to
Oh,
start if you can
exactly. Yeah.
find your niche. Because no one else was making videos on Squad, no one else was really covering it, no one else was like going hard into content creation for it, and it was such a small game. Like now when you look at Squad, it's like gigantic, it's
Mhm.
huge. But I remember it was like 3 servers and like everyone knew each other, and it was like you got to get in early. And I think I saw the potential there, just like because no one else was in
Uh,
it. It was small, and I knew that this game was going to grow to a certain extent. I could just feel it. If I
mhm.
felt this way about this game, and this game could make me like this entertained, and it was this unique, and I couldn't find any other game out there on the market like it, I just had a feeling that, yeah, this game is going somewhere and that there was an opportunity here. And I think that's a
Yeah.
lot of life, right? Is like seeing the opportunities that present themselves and being able to take them. Because those are it's like two different things you're talking about there. Like one is being able to see it, and the second is being able to either decide whether or not you are or are not going to take it. And like I think
Mhm.
that's basic like life experience, and you just get that from, I don't know, you just get that from living. And it's just important, I think, that you follow your gut to a certain extent, right? So
Yeah.
like don't sell your house and your car and everything to started like
Don't do
streaming or
it.
anything like that. But if you can like somewhat comfortably start and there is a little risk, I mean, there's always going to be some kind of risk with something that's going to pay off so much,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing's ever easy that's like crazy amazing fun or financially beneficial
Mhm.
to you. There's always going to be some sort of like, oh god, what's going to happen here? And I don't know, I think that was kind of exciting as well, like
It's a
that
drive,
whole, it's
right?
it's a drive, right? Because it's
Yeah.
what I was talking to one of my friends a long time ago. It's that sense of like lighting a fire under your ass, right?
Yeah.
Where I've essentially backed myself into a corner. Where if I
Yeah.
fail, there's a lot kind of riding on that, right? Like
Yeah.
I've wasted time now not going to school or getting a job. I've I'm just a little bit a couple years behind or whatever. There's a lot of pressure when you do something like this, that it pushes you, right? It
Yeah.
pushes you
Yeah.
to actually work harder.
Yeah. On that, I mean, we are kind of. It's funny. We're both in squad, right? But you didn't get a degree. I actually got a master's,
Hmm.
and then I hated the corporate world. I could not do it. It's like it drive me insane.
Mm.
So it's like that same kind of that drive where it's like I don't care that I did all this stuff, and I think maybe by doing this, I'm better for it. Like I'm making content. Like if I made content right out of college, I think I'd probably gone nowhere. I wouldn't even thought about doing it again and just keep moving on. But
Hmm.
because of the experiences that I've had over the past like 10 years, 8 years, I feel like I can make better decisions and stuff like that. But yeah, it's interesting when you talk about like finding that niche or finding the something that something is just brand new and exciting, that like with squad that you saw on YouTube, Twitch. It was interesting because I saw like I pretty much only heard of squad on like either your videos or Drewski had some videos. There really wasn't much going on early, and but I wouldn't really watch YouTube. I would watch Twitch, and every time I would watch Twitch, there was like a hand, like maybe 3 viewers, something like that. I mean, it was like a dead category.
Yeah. Hmm.
So when I started streaming, and then I got introduced uh, a little bit more, and I was just like, dude, I love Squad. This is actually really interesting, awesome, amazing. I, I saw the potential that Twitch is different from YouTube, although I do use my Twitch VODs into YouTube content quite frequently. And yeah, I get speaking of from earlier, I get people who comment all the time. It's like, hey, this would have been a great match if you just removed your stupid face from the video. It's like, I'm sorry, dude. That's my shtick.
Hmm.
Um, but you have people who would treat Twitch squad streaming like a YouTube video, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I'm always of the opinion that Twitch is for interaction. It's for kind of getting excited and for being in the moment and to seeing how things work with people that are there right then, and to really show your personality and entertainment. So I didn't really see. I like doing that. And I was doing that fine in Battlefield, but you're kind of a lot of people play Battlefield, and there's a very certain type of play style of that. It's very hard to kind of hang out with people when you're constantly in action all the time. And so being able to take like the Twitch streamer entertainment value and put it into something that was niche, like in squad, I think was pretty successful for me. And I think it's helped out the category as well. Like the category is super healthy right now compared to a couple years ago.
Hmm.
And I think the the YouTube squad category is also healthy. Thanks to the work that you did years ago. So it's kind of it's interesting. Ninja as well. I'm sure everyone knows Ninja. Everyone thinks he's just like some Fortnite sellout. He actually took a huge jump. I used to watch him when he did H1Z1 Battle Royale stuff,
Hmm.
and he basically like cut all of H1Z1 and PUBG and stuff like that, and said, "Dude, Fortnite is the next big thing. I'm gonna be the best at Fortnite." And like so many people, I remember being in his chat, were just like, "Dude, this game is garbage. What are you doing?" Yada yada yada. And he just like, no, I see the potential. I just went for it. And he made himself the best. And then I mean, look what happened. So it's kind of like you gotta just have to just go for it. Like
Yeah.
anything is going to be the wrong decision, or everything's going to be the wrong decision to somebody. So just like I don't know, man. It's just crazy seeing all these little niche type stuff, or just if somebody made one slightly different decision, complete change of where you are now in either a game or a stream or a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I have to say, as much hard work that goes into like doing what we do, a lot of it is also luck. Like that's like
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's a mixture of both. Just because like you might get picked up by the algorithm, and then all of a sudden you go viral or whatever, and there's no real like you can do your best to like SEO or like to just try to make things go viral.
That's search engine optimization
Yeah,
for those who don't know that.
but at the end of the day, I'm sure all of us see these YouTube videos that like come out of nowhere in our recommendations. They have like millions and millions of views.
Yeah.
And these are the things that if utilized properly and people see that, these are the things that can make careers, right? Or even like, let's just say someone who hops on a game as niche as like Tarkov, right?
Mm.
Like no one, I can tell you right now, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, no one around, maybe not that long ago, but like 2-ish years ago, no one would have thought that Tarkov would be like one of the most viewed games on
Yeah.
Twitch. It's just so far out of what the norm is, and it was just like so hardcore. But there are some people who saw the potential and put the work in, like Pesily, right? The man grinded so much to get all the guides and everything.
Yep.
He played every day. Like there are certain things that you just need to kind of trust your gut on,
Yeah.
and whether it works out or not, the worst case scenario, as long as you're using your brain, is that like you're happy that you tried, right? And you can put that thought to rest, because
Yeah.
it's, I think personally for me, that's more important to me. I think this is partly because like I'm not as influenced, or my goal is never to like make a lot of money, right? If I wanted to make a lot of money, I would not be doing content creation. Like if you get to the end point, sure, you make a ton of money, but like there's better ways to more consistently make more money.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that like going into it and just enjoying it, like that shows, and that like a lot of the decisions that are made by content creators in the beginning, at least, like once you hit mega numbers, I'm sure money, like there's a lot of money that starts to influence decisions. But
No way.
but as you get started, a lot of what is done and what you should be looking at is like, is this fun for me? Am I enjoying this? Will I watch my own content? Is it like entertaining enough that I will? I remember I used to go back and watch like all of the videos that I would release like multiple times, and it's just like,
Mm.
I don't know if that's weird, but I like, if you aren't willing to sit through and watch your own video, then it's very
Yeah.
unlikely that other people will. At least at the very
Dude.
start,
Yeah.
it's just yeah.
I've had so many videos where I thought I had a banger,
Mhm.
and then I rewatch it. I'm like, dude, this sucks. Like this sucks. And then you go back and forth, and you're like, no, I mean, if I'm second guessing myself and I made the damn thing, it's like whatever.
Mhm.
Just scratch it or start over, just do something new. That's also like, yeah, you do that for videos. If you're just starting streaming, I would tell everybody, I at the especially at the very beginning, I would watch my VODs back and I'd click randomly throughout the stream. Is the problem with streaming is also why it's so interesting is that you're like always on, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
if
live.
yeah, yeah, you're live. And so if you're like right my past 24 hours, um I had a COVID scare with my family. I'd get tested, everyone's fine, but everyone's like people got sick. I was a little like, oh my god, what's going on? But still it's like I got to show up live and I got to be myself. I'm not faking it, obviously, but I'm still energetic, and I let people know what's going on in my life. But I mean, if you're like just putting on either a mask, people can see right through it. And also if you're not like if someone was to look in at any point to your stream and just try to say, "Hey, would I want this person like in my content life?" Because they're actually going to be a part of your life if they have you on the monitor or phone or
Mhm.
whatever, and you're just either super pissed or bummed or raging or bored. I've had people where I go on their streams, they're saying not a single word. They're kind of staring off. They I don't know, maybe they went AFK for an hour. Like all this type of stuff, you have to maximize the time and be yourself and be entertaining. And it's just it's so much, it's so different from a curated video, that it's kind of scary at times thinking that if I press live for the next, like, let's say if you want to do for a 3 hour stream or a 1 hour stream, whatever, but you need to try to be on and be just as engaged and entertaining in yourself from minute one to like the last minute,
Mhm.
because anybody can make their decision, and usually it probably takes people a couple times to decide to either follow or move on or whatever. But that first that first view, man, you gotta take advantage of it and just crush it. It can be very, very tiring at times if you think you're crushing it and then you watch back the VOD and you're like, oh my god, dude, I had no energy. I look like crap. My microphone was muted. It happened to me plenty of times. All this type of stuff. Yeah, it's you need to be critical on yourself if you want to get anywhere here.
So as far as like looking at YouTube curated content versus like live content, what like do you have a content platform that you prefer? Is one easier than the others? Like why do you lean more towards Twitch than YouTube, I guess?
Um,
Is it the how easy it is or how
It
natural it feels or you
it well,
enjoy it
it's
more
not
or
not easy. I
Mhm.
actually, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think they're both easy and or not easy. They're both the same amount of work in different ways, if that
Mhm.
makes any type of sense. Because I mean, it do people think, "Oh, you're literally, oh, you're just playing a video game for 6 hours." Like, I usually do 6-hour streams.
Mhm.
Um, that means I'm, like, sitting on this camera, whether I look great or look bad today, I don't know what's going on, but I'm entertaining, or at least trying to entertain for 6 hours. I talk a lot. I talk a lot, a lot, while you're trying to interact with chat, you're trying to play a video game. That's, like, a lot of work. But making a video, that is also a lot of work, but
Mhm.
it's just by yourself.
It's a different
Um,
kind of work. See, like
yeah.
for me, streaming is freaking exhausting. Like it's a lot. It's just I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm like antisocial or like I just don't like being. There's something about knowing that
You
people
you
are
hate the
looking at
people?
you. No,
You hate interacting with them?
it's something about like knowing that people are looking at you the entire time for like 2, 3, 4,
Okay, yeah.
however many hours, or that you're live and you have to be there and you have to be active for that amount of time. There's something
Yeah.
mentally taxing about that. And it's just like I don't know how like some of these streamers do like 12. I mean, maybe you get like eventually more comfortable and used to it, and you end up
Yeah.
being like fine with it, but like for me it's just like it's really exhausting knowing that I have to be more or less taking care of
Yep.
all the viewers, and I don't mean like taking care of it like a negative way. It's just like making sure that you're entertained and making sure that you're enjoying the content and making sure that I'm enjoying what
Mhm.
I'm doing, right? Because some people
Yeah.
can go to work and they can hate their job but they can still do their job, right? Because that's just how their job works. But as a content creator, you can't stream and be hating it because no one's gonna watch
Oh,
that.
you can. Yeah, no, you will see the results in the numbers. It happens though. I mean, everyone who's streamed or made a YouTube video or whatever, I think it definitely comes off more in streaming. Like if you're just having a bad time or having a bad day, we've all had bad streams. Um, the worst thing you can do is let it affect your next one.
Mhm.
And if you have there's a good piece of advice. Um, a missed stream is better than multiple bad streams, because that uh, I guess experience will now be okay. Well, is Moy going to be upset or frustrated or whatever for now? This is, let's, I don't know. Let's say Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're just upset.
Hmm.
Like, dude, people are like, do I want to turn in to Thursday and just see the same garbage? Like, he's just been kind of annoying. Like, if anything, that type of stuff, you really have to check yourself. And I have a good time. I like to hang out with people when I start my stream. I go on a run or do something beforehand to try to get myself just kind of just thinking about positivity and what I want to do today. It's just kind of zone out a little bit. But I mean, everyone's been in the bad headspace, or something happens on stream. That's what's like super frustrating sometimes is when you get those the snowball games of just feeling bad, and you got to try to dig yourself out of it, because yeah, dude, I've had people show up for the very first time, and it breaks my heart because I am super frustrated at dumbass squad lead 2 that just did some dumbass thing and got my tank killed. And someone's like, "Hey, first stream," and I'm going off, and I'm like, "Oh man, okay, well, sorry. Hey, usually it's better than this. Come back, next time."
Yeah, squad
Like the
is
type of stuff.
Squad is very see Squad and Tarkov are both tilting in very unique ways. Squad is tilting because most of the time when I get angry or upset or I get there's something bothering me, it's usually because it's another human being. It's another human being that's socially just causing a problem in some
Yeah.
way, shape, or form. Whether they're like intent TKing, or they're screaming at someone else, or they're insulting someone, or they're just lashing out or just doing dumb stuff. But in Tarkov, like the different kind of tilt is just like it's a soul crushing kind of tilt in Tarkov, where it's like you're getting pummeled and pummeled and pummeled, and you're live. So it's not like it's
Yeah,
like if I
yeah.
have a bad game of like League of Legends off stream, it's like okay, I'm gonna stop playing now. If I'm live at Tarkov,
Exactly,
all right, hey guys, we
exactly.
just go live. All right, 1 raid bad, 2 raid bad, 3 raid bad. All right, guys, end the stream. Here we go. Bye bye. Like it's just you can't really do that. So it's kind of like you do have to like
Yeah.
sit there and figure out like all right, how am I going to power through this next 30 minutes of this squad match where this squad leader is just being an absolute tool, or he's just refusing to work together or whatever, and he's just triggering the
Yeah.
hell out of me, or maybe I'm just like and being my own server owner helps, right? Because I can kick ban whatever. But
Feel
in
that.
Tarkov, I feel it a lot in Tarkov, right? It's like I get on Tarkov, it's like oh shit, it's like my whole stream is going to be determined by these first 3 raids. It's like
Yep.
it's just how it is. And it's like you're rolling the dice. So I try very, very hard. Like I try very, very hard for my first like 3 raids to survive all of them because I know if I die in my first 3, it's gonna be a bad day. It's gonna be a real bad day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it's so weird how like in YouTube you don't have to worry about that. I record a video like YouTube content creation is much different. I play a whole bunch, like
Yeah.
I'll play a whole day of raids and just go through and curate whichever one, and it's nice like that because I can get the best content or
Yep.
whatever. But yeah, it's looking at the two. Like I was just curious as far as like you, if you had a preference or if there are any specific insights you had between platforms, because I think
Yeah.
everyone is going to have their own unique experience on the platforms.
If I had to pick one of the two, I would pick Twitch.
Hmm.
And it's I just the interaction. I mean, this is why I started. It's the interaction of someone coming in and saying hi, and me being able to say hi back, and we can have whether I mean I try to keep the same interaction whether I'd had one person or a few hundred or whatever it is. I still try to keep that close knit community and try to interact as best as I can. And sometimes you miss people and you feel bad because I see them out the corner of my eye and the chat goes away and you're just like, oh, sorry, dude. But I think I try really hard to just like I want to make this person feel welcome and entertained and part of chat. Not just ABC 1 2 3, just another name that just went up and down. So the the streaming aspect and being able to be live and there with someone is just that is just so attractive to me.
Hmm.
And although I do absolutely love because I'm actually although I'm pretty outspoken and loud and talkative and what all this type of stuff on stream, it's not that I'm not like it off stream, but I'm the type of person where like I could go to a movie theater by myself and have dinner by myself and
Hmm.
have probably one of the best nights ever. So I kind of like being by myself and quiet and stuff. And then I kind of like bookend it in the complete opposite way, and then just be kind of loud and stuff on stream, and then or big group of people or whatever. So I feel like people, they feel like they have to like uh I don't know, have this certain personality to be a Twitch streamer or whatever. But I've seen people who are also just as quiet, who
Yeah.
say not nearly as stuff as much. I'm super talkative. I have a lot of things going on. Super successful people who are not very talkative, and they let their other talents, whether it's the gameplay or something else, maybe some creative things going on stream. But whatever they do, it's still them controlling it with you right now. Like I rarely even watch VODs just because I even if it's a streamer or someone I like, I would prefer
Is
to miss it.
See, that's like, do people watch like actual VODs of like full live
Oh
streams?
yeah.
I never see. That's so interesting
What
to me.
why you were about to say weird. I heard you were about to say weird.
Well, I
It's
mean,
well,
I
okay,
I
think of it
also.
this way. Think of it well here, let me her before you get there, let me put this to you. You're in a completely different time zone.
Mhm.
You like I have a bunch of Aussies or people who work night shift or some weird time zones where we're talking about the niche type of thing, right?
Right.
Squad streams are very few and far between, and I would like to say that I think the streams that I do are pretty engaging and entertaining, even if there are other streams. So being able to create a stream as a whole, whether they watch the whole 6 hours or not, that not only I'm interacting with you through the video, but they can see how the chat reacts, how maybe there's certain things going on in chat that then reflects onto the stream. So it's like this kind of whole like I feel like YouTube is just different. Like the chat integration and the whole community or feel between that type of stuff just isn't there on YouTube. And although there's a lot of problems with Twitch, like even watching back VODs, you still get that feeling, even though you're not right there right then. So I feel like that's a really it makes you feel like you're there,
Mhm.
even when you're watching. And I've had people comment on VODs, like type in the chat, and
That's
it
crazy.
still yeah, it still do it because it will post in that they're posting on another video or something. So I mean it's it makes it feel like they're part of the community because they are part of the community. They're just on a different time zone.
Mhm.
So it might be a little different, but I feel like if you like live stream content, watching a VOD is like if you have that one guy you want to watch, you got nothing else, like watch the VOD because the YouTube videos that I do make out of the VODs are it's like 20 minutes compared to a match that could be an hour and a half. And people want to see the hour and a half.
Right. Well, I mean, everyone's. I mean, like we're talking about niche and like all that stuff. Like everyone's gonna watch their own kind of. There's a viewer out there for almost everything, right? So it's pretty
Wait,
interesting.
so I have a question
Mhm.
for that then. So what? So apart from, I want to say last year you got more into streaming Tarkov. I know you do squad every once in a while, right? Like
Mhm.
you do it on one day or something. So what now? I've seen other YouTubers start going pretty hard onto streaming. So is it something that you're like, okay, I feel like I should do this because of everyone else doing it? Do you really enjoy it? Do you like doing it for just certain amount of times? Because you did say it's kind of exhausting for doing
Mhm.
it long periods of time, but I've seen your streams. You seem like you're having a great time, doing it all.
Yeah, so streaming to me is something that's like non-committal, like right. So I'm not a streamer, which means I don't need to stream every day or X amount of days. I really don't have to, and I think that part makes it okay for me. Because if I had to pick
Okay.
between doing YouTube every single day and doing Twitch every day, I would always pick YouTube, just because that's just my preference. It's just like
Mhm.
Twitch is just like there's something we're talking about how like going into content creation, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of work. It's just even it's amplified, I think, much more when you're live the entire time, because there's
Yeah,
no
that's true.
way you can go back and edit it or find
Yeah.
stuff, right? Like it's if you're having a bad day, you are live and you're going to have a bad day. It's not like I have bad games on squad. Okay, I can take a break and come back to it later and get better content. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
it's I think it takes a different personality to really want to do streaming all the time live, like full time. Just I'm more of a like I like things where I have control over when I can stop and start most of the time.
Yeah.
So like even in class, I like this goes back to like school. It's like I hated how like when class starts, I have to be there sitting there and I have to be I'm stuck in this. Like I just like having that freedom of like okay, I can just hit the off button and I can get off. And I
Yeah.
guess you still have that with streaming, but it kind of like if you're known for like okay guys, I'm done for now. Like just turn it off like an hour in, like you're never gonna grow like that. So I think
Yeah.
it's for me it's nice. It's a nice side thing. I don't know if I'd ever do like streaming full time, like and only stream it, just because I don't know, maybe. I think if my
Oh,
niche
wait,
was
we got
different.
wait, 5 days a week confirmed 2021.
So I think if I was a variety streamer, I could do it, right? But going back
Yeah.
to the games we play, I don't know how you do it. I could not play Squad 5 days a week, like live for X amount of hours, or Tarkov that long. It's just these games to me are just too taxing. It's like how I want to play. Like
Yeah.
just lock in and like I don't read chat when I play Squad. I can't because I'm squad leading or commanding. Like I'm trying to dial in and play the game.
Yeah.
And so maybe if I was playing like World of Warcraft and I could pull like 5,000 viewers a stream playing World of Warcraft. Hell yeah, I'd probably do that. You know, I could probably stream full time if I was like a WoW streamer and I was playing WoW and I could do a whole bunch of different things in WoW. I could farm
Yeah.
mounts or make money or X amount, but. Or I could if I could play Among Us or like all these different games and I could retain viewers. And I think one of the things is like if I do want to get to that point, I kind of have to start doing that and branching off and doing variety stuff, and I have to like
Yeah.
make that opportunity available. But like at this point in time, it's just like I don't really see it as like I'm kind of happy with where things are right now.
Yeah, I think for anyone trying to do that, I mean, even like when you niche yourself, like I've been like the majority of people who stop by my stuff, because I have my YouTube, it's almost exclusively squad. I got a couple postscriptum, hell it loose, some other random tactical shooters in there, almost exclusively squad. I've streamed, I think I was looking at it like almost 2,000 hours or something like that, something
Mm,
stupid like that of squad.
it's crazy.
Um, yeah, absolutely insane. But it's like so people see you as the squad guy, and that's a great
Right.
thing. But that's if you want to keep continuing growing, especially things that are smaller and niche categories like Milsim, there's always going to be some form of cap. But I mean, we've seen that cap grow when you have people like a Shroud who gets big in Counter Strike, does his thing, and then years later he could literally sit and just play Tetris and have 20,000 viewers. But I feel like the people that want to do like a variety stream, like you need to get good in a niche and then try to start to
Expand.
branch out.
Yeah.
Yeah, even like for me going to Tarkov, that is still a variety-ish,
Yeah,
even though
you're
it's
breaking
still a
off from
little bit.
your main game. Yeah.
Yeah, I have people every day that I mean I would stream one day at Tarkov and like 4 days of squad, and on the first day of Tarkov they're like, "Oh my god, you never playing squad again? What's going on, man? Is squad dead game?" But it's like, if you want to be more than just like the game, you have to try to take it. And I understand that I'm going to probably, take a 50%, 70% like view count hit because it's
Hmm.
not my main stuff. But you start to um, show that other people, uh, like, hey, I'm more than just this, or maybe I'm not more than this, but I'm gonna at least try a little bit, learn a little bit, and see what can happen. Because I did that actually from Battlefield to Squad. I was getting closer. I was more in like the 40-ish average viewers when I was in Battlefield. I was just having a horrible time. I hated the game. I could not like do it anymore. I absolutely hated Battlefield 5. I swapped over to dead category squad with max 5 viewers in the entire category, and then kind of grew from there just because I was passionate.
Yeah, it's
You
all
know, and
about like taking the risks and doing what you want to do, and it's just oh, you
it's
gotta. It's
crazy.
scary. It's scary, right? Because like I made that crossover to Tarkov like I think last year, and it's like when you start doing it, it's like oh god, these numbers are not good. These numbers are not good. And now I look back, and some of my most viewed or like most profitable videos or streams were Tarkov streams, and I almost feel like even these days, like I'm people enjoy my Tarkov content more than my squad content. And it's just like you will never know until you try it, right? Like sure,
Yeah.
it could have ended disastrously, but hey, it could also end in like Ninja, like going from absolute zero to hero and freaking
Yeah.
Fortnite just becoming the biggest person ever. And you won't know unless you try. And you can always just stop doing it if it's not working out. So I definitely should try to peek a little bit out of my niche. I'm not sure. Like it's so weird though, because like the games that I play are so different. Like I like playing League, I like playing a whole bunch of different like other games. I like playing board games. It's like I've built myself into like I think the niche that we're in especially is very like
Yeah.
hardcore, very like don't you play any other fucking game. It's like you have to play these hardcore tactical shooters. I'm not watching any of that baby crap. It's just like I don't. It's like hard to transition out of this niche. I will say. Like airsoft was one thing. I will say that airsoft is kind of a crossover to make, and that's like a big jump, but it's also not really because it's kind of
Okay.
related. But like COVID kind of shut that down for me for a little bit. So I think I don't know,
Oh
maybe more
man.
airsoft stuff when everything gets back under control.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, you know, uh, when we went to Vancouver, there's a Geeksy
Oh
who's
yeah
a
yeah yeah.
good content creator. Mainly streams, makes YouTube videos as well. He is pulling great numbers, and he has been for a while. But I mean, he's we were talking about making careers and stuff like that. I mean, when you get on board and you just believe in the game, like with Battlestate and what they're doing with Twitch, the integration have been insane. The channels that they promoted have been insane. I mean, they're making careers, or at least making people have the potential to take something and turn into career. He started as Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about this back in Vancouver, and he's like, it was probably like it was just rough. It was rough because you niche yourself into Hearthstone, a cartoony World of Warcraft card game, and then you say, "I love you guys. I'm not playing Hearthstone. I'm playing Tarkov."
And that's
And
quite the jump.
that's an insane jump. And that's, and he said he felt it, and it was tough, but if you want to do this for yourself, whether maybe you're just internally you can't play Hearthstone anymore, or or you just think that this is better for you, or whatever it is, believing it's like, hey, if I was able to do this with Hearthstone, why can't I do this with Tarkov? I know I'm
Hmm.
going to lose some people, but I can replicate to some extent, but I have to now set new goals and set new expectations and things like that. So it is possible 100%. But just because some people like a Shroud can just turn on Hello Kitty Island Adventures and get the same amount of viewers as Counter Strike, that's I think honestly because they did so much in one thing that got them the following and the people to see them more than just the game, to follow them elsewhere. Because all the big streamers started with something like Counter Strike, PUBG, Overwatch, Call of Duty, and then I think the one off would be Asmongold with World of Warcraft, but he was more YouTube into streamer.
Hmm.
So it's like it's very very niche into now allowing you to still be successful in variety.
Yeah, it's I'd say like that's like the end game, right? Is every content creator is trying to like always break out of their niche so that they can just I think the end goal is transferring from that content creator who's known for playing a game to just being that content creator who's the
Yeah.
content creator, right? Because Shroud can jump onto almost any game now. Ninja could I pretty much jump onto any game now. Like these are titans of industry, right? They're people who can actually do almost whatever they want, and they've built that following based on their personality and their
Yep.
channel rather than just like the game that they play. I think that's like something that's advice like the people who are listening who might already be in a niche. Like that's what you should always be striving to look towards.
Yeah, or at least just keep an eye out on trends and stuff, and then
Hmm.
try to dabble in it. If it doesn't work, hey, throw it in every once in a while, or at least maybe play offline, and then try to set yourself up for success. But yeah, no, you gotta. I think if there's one thing that I've definitely learned, because I've really been full time, not even a year now. Um, it's you're you're not supposed to really feel comfortable yet. I don't know whenever you really felt comfortable, but I'm sure it wasn't immediately.
No, it
But
wasn't.
it was still that kind of like I gotta do this, and I gotta make it happen.
Hmm.
Uh, and trying to continually improve on yourself and to figure out what's next, and to just like I joke about this with some of the guys that because I've been doing like offline, like off stream. I just try to do raids and do Tarkov and grind. It's like my overtime. I know it sounds like a joke, but overtime for me would be playing a different game to learn it.
Right.
Um, but I joke, it's like I have limited time, and I really do. It's like I stream for 6 hours. If I have a crappy stream, I can't make a YouTube video out of it. I got a wife, I got a kid. I have no time to then try to learn a very hard game. So, sometimes I got to sacrifice, a couple streams. Not that I'm sacrificing it, but if I'm not used to these certain numbers or the certain type of people or whatever, you have to say, hey, I just want to try something. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, great. But you just gotta keep on trying to grow, trying to improve.
Yeah. No, I think that hits it. Like, you have to be willing to take risks, and that's the core of content creation, right? You got to be willing to
Yeah.
take that risk. You're like jumping into it in the first place, so get used to that because you're taking a lot of risks in this line of work, in this career.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, another great talk. I mean, I think, yeah, this was a really fun one. I think, especially not talking about, like, tactical shooters specifically, but getting into a little bit of those questions of, like, well, what do I do if I want to become a content creator, or like, what should I be prepared for? What were some
Yeah.
things that you should be paying attention to? Because you and I get these questions a ton in comments and chat, and
100%.
yeah, so I hope this was helpful to you guys listening out there, because it was fun once again.
Yeah. No, have a good luck. I guess just keep trying. Once again, don't sell your house, but hey, be smart with your risks.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's cap it off with one last thing. If there was one thing you could tell someone looking to get into content creation, what would it be? If there's just one thing.
One thing, like a tip. Okay, one thing. One thing, I would say is to do not like. Okay, how do I phrase this? Be yourself, but pay attention to what others are doing.
Hmm.
Because if I go in and I copy another streamer, people see right through that. If I go in and I try to put on a character, people can see that. So be yourself, but if you're not paying attention to what other people around you are doing, you may be lost, and you may just stay down where you don't want to be. So you just need to keep paying attention.
Hmm.
What about you?
It would be, don't be disheartened by the grind. I'd say, like, just remember
Yeah.
that every single content creator or streamer or whatever out there has always gone from 1 subscriber to 2 subscribers to 3 to 4. Like, the numbers count the same across the board for everyone out there.
Yeah.
You might be stuck at 300, but hey, every single content creator you've ever watched was at that 300 mark too. No one skips or jumps or anything. All the numbers count the same for everyone. So just just be okay with that, because I know it looks slow in the beginning. I remember when I had like 1,000 subs, I was like, oh god, to get to 100,000 I gotta do this 100 more times. But you'll get there, and so long as you just stay the course and you realize and you just make sure that you're not getting too wigged out by that climb that you got ahead of you, just keep going. But yeah. I think that's gonna wrap it up for this enlightening episode, Moy.
Very enlightening.
Yeah, very, very enlightening. As always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Command Comms. Remember, you can find us over on Spotify, Google, over at what's the other one? Spotify, Google, YouTube. Yeah, big one. Of course, YouTube.
The thing we've been talking about for the entire day.
Yeah, and I can't think of anything. Any more announcements? I don't think so. I think we're.
I don't know. I know there might be. I'm trying to keep an eye out for any tactical milsim or whatever
Pretty
news
quiet,
going on.
pretty quiet right now.
Yeah, if we have anything, we'll bring it up next time. But until then, where can they find you?
Over at youtube.com/Karmika, and you?
Twitch.tv/Moydog and videos on youtube.com/Moydog.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take it easy, be safe, and I will see you next time.
Peace.